Hi, how are you doing? I'm going to do six, four um, thoughts out of time, basically by Fessinger. Uh, I really like this study because when I was in grad school, I did a study. I was involved in a study just like this. Um, basically, I'm going to give you the historical and the psychological significance right off the top. Um, basically, it's a study about cognitive dissonance. That's what it is. Cognitive dissonance is when behavior or attitudes are different from information that comes into the situation, i.e., um, you know, you don't believe in getting a COVID vaccination. All the information is that people who get vaccinated, the less chance of dying. So okay, we got cognitive dissonance. Uh, uh, we can't live with that. We got to reduce that. It's the same thing as psychological tension with Rogers and counseling. We have to do something about it. So either we change our attitude or we deny or distort the information. And that then reduces the cognitive dissonance. And so, for instance, then you go, oh, I need to go get my shot, which means change your attitude. Or you say, well, it's a hoax, or they're not telling the truth, or there are, many reasons. Some are valid, but many reasons not. Just like the president, ex-president. Trump said, I'm going to win in 2020. He lost. Does he say, change his attitude and say, I accept the defeat? Most people do not, change their attitude. So you have to deny or distort the information, reduce the cognitive dissonance. So it was rigged. So basically, the historical significance is we didn't know why we had people who did attitude change. We had all kinds of reasons in psychology. Fessinger said that one of the reasons we have attitude change is to reduce cognitive dissonance. And he went about to show this, and also involved in the study, uh, he also showed that the belief that the greater the reward, the more attitude change. So that was a kind of a sidelight to the experiment that he did. So the historical significance is that we have attitude change because we want to reduce cognitive dissonance. And that explains a lot of behaviors. People who smoke and don't, won't stop. You know, you buy an outfit, you think you look great in it. You ask somebody, what do you think? And they go, oh, I don't like it. What do? You say, oh, you're right. I was stupid to buy this outfit. Or do you say, what do they know about fashion? So the fact is, we come all the time, we come to incidents of cognitive dissonance. In the original experiment, what he did was he had people do a really mundane activity. One was taking spools out of a tray and putting it back for 30 minutes. And then the next activity was turning a little knob, a peg, 1/4, and then doing all the pegs, then coming back and doing them 1 more quarter, and come back and turning 1 more quarter. So these are two super boring activities. Then um, they said, we want you to talk to another student and talk about this experiment they're going to have to do. Which, of course, that person was a Confederate, and tell them how fun and interesting this experiment was. And then they were interviewed about their own experience. They had a control group, which was a plus, who weren't have to lie to anybody about the situation, and the control group said this was boring as heck. So we had the other two groups, Group A and Group B. Well, what Fessinger discovered was the people who got paid $20, and that's another plus because that was a lot of money back in the 50s. Um, they lied for $20 and they didn't have to change their attitude because they said, okay, I'm lying, but I'm getting paid $20 for it. So there's no cognitive dissonance. But the people that were paid at $1 had to lie. And so they're thinking, oh my God, I'm lying for a single dollar? So am I a liar? Or maybe the experiment was much more interesting than it was. And they told, so when they were reviewed by the experimenter, they talked about the experimenter much more favorably than the group that had 20. So the idea is Festinger showed that cognitive dissonance changes attitude. We change attitude, reduce cognitive dissonance. The negatives is they only use males, and back in the 50s, of course, in college, almost everybody was a male. And two, there was more than two, but the second thing was they only had 20 in each group, 20 in the control group, 20 in group B, and 20 in group A. That's not really a large sample. But the study's been replicated hundreds of times. As a matter of fact, I was in a one that was replicated, except we didn't do pegs. It was a group of us, and we had to watch a movie called Sleep by Andy Warhol. It's 7 hours long, and it's somebody sleeping. And thank God we only had to watch it for 3 hours. And it's a guy in a cot sleeping. It's boring as heck. And then we had to tell people, oh my God, you're going to watch this great movie, blah, blah, blah. And then we were interviewed just like saying, what did you think about the movie? Luckily, I was paid $20. Even in the 70s, that was still some money. And I go, that was, $7 an hour when the going rate was like $2 an hour. And so I said, this was a boring movie. I don't even know why we made us watch it. So I didn't have much attitude change because the information fit my belief. But the people who only paid $1 to lie, just like in the original experiment, talked about the cinematography, the music, which there wasn't any, all these pluses of it, because they had this cognitive dissonance for lying for just $1. So the experiment was, showed cognitive, and it's been done all kinds of studies afterwards. And a modern study is now we can actually measure cognitive dissonance through body functions. Our blood pressure goes up, our heart rate goes up, our breathing goes up when we're in a state of cognitive dissonance. Remember, cognitive dissonance is when information comes in that's different from our behavior and or our beliefs. So hopefully, you understand this study. It's really a good one. Cognition explains a lot of changes of how people think, change attitudes and stuff. And remember, the idea is that when we have cognitive dissonance, we have to reduce it. So there's where the attitude change is. All right, have a good day. Talk to you later.